How you folks doing out there? This is none other than Pierce Landis.
And Danny Grand.
And we're here from A Guided Life to tell you how you can have an even better life than you have today.
Very important thing, by the way. A lot of people who are out there are looking to have a little bit of direction, a little bit of insight into what they're doing in their lives, and what they're doing that's right, and what they're doing that's not right. And sometimes there's a balance, there's a psychological formula that people live with that sometimes put them into a place or a position where they don't feel like they're really winning. They don't feel like they're really doing this thing called life right. And one of the things that we want to do with this channel, a Guided Life channel, is to get into the subject matters that people deal with on a regular basis and offer our advice and our insights into how we can make your life even better.
And that's what we're here to do. And our lesson for today is really quite simple. The lesson is, until you do it, you're never going to do it. And this is a mantra Danny came up with it a little while ago, and it's a mantra we've used here in our offices for a while now. And the idea is quite simple. You can have a lot of great ideas. You can have a lot of things you want to do different. You can have all kinds of things going on in that head of yours and that brain of yours. But until you do it, you're never going to do it. Until you take action, until you get off of your rear end and do something, you're never going to do it. And that's the first piece of advice that you should take with anything in your life. That if you want to change, if you want to be better, if you want to do something different, it has to start with action. You have to take action if you're gonna get anywhere in life.
It's very true. And I also say all the time to people, unless you start an action, you cannot expect a reaction. So without creating an initial drop in the lake, will you ever see the ripples start to come along the water?
Sounds very profound. But you know what? This is our first episode of this new channel, this new Guided Life channel. The people don't even know who we are. Danny, who are you?
Who am I?
Who are you?
Well, I guess that's a really interesting question, to be honest. Well, I'm a person who has spent a long time, and I would say a long time for me is about 15 or 20 years, in self-education and self-development. And I mean like learning about the human being and how it interacts with others sociologically and societally, and emotionally and psychologically, and in all these different levels that we operate on. Basically, humans operate in 5 levels, which is in the monetary world, in the emotional, in the spiritual, the mental, and the physical worlds. So, what I like to say to you is that I have spent a lot of time in my life learning how to focus in and understand how I'm behaving in all of these different zones of the overall human. I spent a lot of time in spirituality. I have studied multiple religions. I practice Judaism today, but I have spent time with Buddhism. I've spent time with Christianity. I've spent time with a variety of other religions, trying to find myself and what made sense to me on a spiritual level. I've spent a lot of time working in the physical world. I studied the teachings of and students of Bruce Lee, among others, and I was for a long time a martial artist and practicing in that area in an extreme way. I mean, I was at a point where I was doing a one-handed push-up on 2 fingers. I can do like 5 or 10 of those. You know, I was a bike taxi driver in Manhattan, and I would drive people around in a bike taxi for 3 or 4 hours a day, pulling 250 pounds of weight through Manhattan traffic on a bike. You get pretty strong. I was a musician for 10 or 15 years as well at that time period, and you need to be really strong to be a musician, believe it or not. Having the ability to move your hands and fingers and sing nonstop for a 30-minute or a 40-minute or a 50-minute set, it's a lot harder than running in a treadmill for 30, 40 to 50 minutes, and that's hard too, right? So I think that's a little bit about who I am as a person. I'm a person who loves life. I'm a person who loves thinking and understanding human potential, and a person who likes to work with others who are going through something, good or bad, and trying to make it even better for them and to give them some useful guidance and some useful insights on how to live in this world in a way that makes them feel fulfilled. And I do this in a not so religious way. In the spiritual, yes. Religious, maybe no, even though I happen to be a religious person myself. Now, my counterpart over here Rabbi Landis, at the same time, without further ado, can go introduce himself. I'm just kidding.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Landis. So I'm a little boy coming from Atlanta, Georgia, a little nice southern boy, and yes, I will drop a Y-bomb every now and then. I mean, I will say y'all, because hey, that's how we talk where I come from. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, a little bit different than New York City, where my counterpart here grew up. And honestly, until I was about, I would say, maybe 15 or 16 years old, I was not brought up particularly religious. We were a very active family of the Jewish community, but not necessarily too religious. But around when I was 16 years old, I had my own beginning of coming to myself, thinking about the world a little bit differently, and started down a path of really just self-growth, spiritual growth, that led me to the point when I graduated high school where I wanted to go to rabbinical school. My main training is, before I got into sort of the nonprofit sector and then the business sector, was exclusively rabbinic. I spent 9 years in rabbinical school. I'm an ordained rabbi, and through...
I am not.
He is not your rabbi.
I am not your rabbi.
I am your rabbi. No, but rabbi really just means teacher, and that's what I look at myself as. So in 2006, when I was leaving rabbinical school, I was an ordained rabbi, married with 3 kids already, and I took my first job in Cincinnati, Ohio, to start a Jewish educational organization from the ground up. I had some benefactors, but that was about it, and I was told basically to go out and get started, and I was literally coming right out of school. And learned a lot on the job, because while I had the education as far as the rabbinical education, I definitely did not have the organizational education. I did not have the business education. I did not have the marketing education. And for a lot of that, I really had to teach myself and figure it out on my own. And when I didn't have resources, I had to learn how to be resourceful. And slowly but surely built up this organization, did that for about 8 years. Was eventually brought to Cleveland to start another organization. So I've started 2 nonprofits in my 42 years. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, ventured into the for-profit sector, starting a company that eventually became the company that we work on together. But that's really one of my dreams, one of my passions, is really helping people to be better, really to help people to become better with what they have in their lives, to reach their goals, to make the goals, to reach their goals, and to see growth in everything that is in front of them. And that's really what drives me, that you can build organizations, you can build businesses, but for me it's about building people and helping people to become better and helping people to become the best human beings that they can possibly become. So that's really why I'm here, and I think that's why we're here. We're trying to bring you some value that you'll look at and say, okay, these are some good ideas, these are some good suggestions, these are some good thoughts that can help me to become a better me. And we are here to help you become that better you.
And another thing to add to exactly what you were talking about is this particular channel, we want it to be very interactive. We want you to comment. We want you to reach out to us by email. We'll leave it down in the footer below. We want you to give us your problems, and we will discuss them. You'll send it to us. We could leave it as anonymous and say, hey, we'll reply to your video. Only you'll know that we wrote that to you, but then we'll talk about that subject matter, and it will relate directly to you. That's what the purpose of this channel hopefully will become. That's what we want it to be. Something very interactive. We want you to engage with us. We want you to interact with us. We might even take it to a level where we go YouTube Live and take calls on the spot and answer them. We would love to do that for you and with you. We both have a tremendous amount of experience when it comes to helping people to really navigate the course of life, whatever their problems are, whatever area that they're dealing with. As long as it's as they say kosher, that's where the domain begins and ends for us. As long as it's like a welcoming subject matter that are earnest issues that people are having, we're happy to really spend time and to go over them and to give you some really deep, thought-out insight into how to actually have a better outcome for whatever your experience that you're going through.
And that's why we're here today, to bring you the message of until you do it, you're never going to do it. And that's why we're here, because we've been talking about this show, we've been talking about getting us off the ground for a while, and we finally just said, okay, we have our studio here in our office, let's go turn on the camera, let's do it. Let's start pumping out there so we can begin to help you to really live a guided life. It's
not only a good example, but it also is really relevant, because there are so many different kinds of people who find that they're suffering with procrastination. That is really the main critical concept that I see holding people back more than anything else. From my experience, it's procrastination. people don't even realize that they're procrastinating. They think that that's just the way that they've got to respond to things. They think that's the way that they've conditioned themselves, and they become this way where they've got to respond like this and say, oh, I can't go there now. Well, why not? Oh, because I have to take care of something. Meanwhile, the thing that they have to take care of is so small and minuscule, it doesn't really mean that much, but they're giving it this large thing, like priority in their life. Meanwhile, what they really want to do, which they're never going to do because they're shying away from it, they're bowing out from it, they're not feeling like they deserve it. This gets into all the emotions of why that might be, but the end result is they're procrastinating. Right. So without getting into all the details and hearing from people who have real issues that they want to discuss with us, we're going to go and just simply say, here's a way, overarching way to just kind of get past all of that. How are you going to do it? By realizing these very simple things. And it is this. Until you do something, you will never do it. So until you stop doing something, you'll continue to do it. It works both ways. Right. If you have a bad habit that you keep doing, until you stop it, it'll never stop. It affects people who want to lose weight. They can't lose weight because their metabolism's too high. Excuse. It's true. Might be, but it's also an excuse too. Because that person can make adjustments to correct their metabolism. But they're not, because the adjustment part, they don't want it. They don't want to do it. There are reasons why. Because at the end of the day, you're only going to ever do what it is you want to do. So what we want to do is share thoughts and ideas with you that will help you to have a better life. That's what we want to do. And because until you do it, you'll never do it, is a motto that we live by. That's why we're here right now in this video. And we want to share that with you and hope that it can make an impact in your life. Just drill it in. Keep it there, remind yourself, and say it every single day. Whenever you feel like you don't want to do something, or you want to do it, but you know you're just like the kind of person who never gets around to it, boom, until you do it, never do it. And if you want it bad enough, you will jump up and do it just like we're doing this video here. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Nice.
So please, before you click off YouTube, make sure you click on that like button, click on the subscribe button, and we hope to bring you a lot more things that you'll find a lot of value in, and we will see you next time with the next video.
In the future.
Sometime.